Greetings and thank you for tuning in to Mr. Story Channel, where you can experience the most fascinating moments on Reddit. It's time for our first story. Not going to pay overtime? Think again. I was discussing this sub with a good friend, and he said, "Boy, have I got a story that'll fit?" It wasn't his story, but his brother's, and I sat with him and got the details. Buckle up, it's a good one, and a long one. Let's call him Bob. Bob has been fiddling with computers since he was a kid, and he knows them pretty well. As with most IT people, he's moved from job to job. The employer he worked for was a service/distribution company, and there were 2 IT employees. The company was located in Ontario, Canada. About 3 years ago, Bob's employer decided to modernize their software. They had separate programs for dispatching, inventory, payroll, and finance, and it was complicated to move information from one program to the next. They decided to get an ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, program, and Bob recommended one that he knew inside out from a previous employer. For those of you who don't know, an ERP program handles everything: purchase orders, sales, inventory, and personnel, vendors, customers, all of it. You can run a report and find out which customer has bought the most part ABC in the last year, which salesman has improved his numbers the most, which vendor has the fastest delivery time, which shipper packed the most orders. Everyone in the company used the ERP program, but it was very complicated, and they used the aspects of it that related to their position. For example, the receiver would accept a shipment, verify the quantity, confirm it was received, and the inventory statistics would be available to the salespeople if they wanted to look up how many were on hand. The receiver didn't care what the price was or who the vendor was. He just did his job. Bob was run ragged during the implementation process, but he managed to train most of the employees on their aspects, and after a few months, everything was running fairly smoothly. Bob still had tickets for tweaks in the operation of the software and occasional hardware IT issues. Then the company decided to expand their footprint and was marketing in different time zones. That messed things up. Atlanta, Canada is 90 minutes early, so if someone sent an email or an order at 8 a.m. their time, it would arrive at 6:30 a.m. Ontario time. Pacific Canada is 3 hours late, so an email sent at 3 p.m. Vancouver time would arrive at 6 p.m. This stretched out the day. So many staff came in early and worked late. Bob would arrive at 8 a.m., and there would be people who demanded his immediate assistance and were annoyed that he didn't respond instantly, even though their request was submitted before his start time. Same with late in the day. His phone would ring at dinner time with people who wanted help right now. They decided to stagger his and his IT colleagues' shift times. Bob would start at 6 a.m. and work till 2:30, and his colleague would start at 10:30 a.m. and work till 7 p.m. But Bob's colleague had kids and refused the shift change. The employer insisted. The colleague quit. That meant that Bob was the only person in the IT department. The employer said they would look to hire a new IT guy, but they had trouble finding one that knew the ERP system, and they were offering well under a market value salary. Bob asked for a raise and was denied. Then he wanted overtime, and the employer told him that as an IT specialist, he was exempt from overtime laws in Ontario. Bob looked it up, and the employer was correct. This went on for some time, and he knew lots of IT people socially. They told him what the company was offering, and Bob knew that they wouldn't find another tech. Things went downhill from there. Bob would get chewed out if he missed a call or an email, no matter what time it came in. He had to train new hires in the ERP system as well as take care of the hardware. He asked repeatedly for better compensation and was denied, so he planned to get a new job. Now here's the revenge. Bob had access to the entirety of the ERP program. When a user signed in, the time was logged, and even if they didn't sign out, after 15 minutes, it would log them out anyway. Everyone in the company was on salary, and many of them came in early and stayed late. Ontario labor law states that even salaried workers are entitled to overtime after 44 hours a week, unless they are managers or supervisors. So Bob jumped into the program and ran a report for each employee that wasn't a manager, all the way back to when the ERP program was started. Then he reached out to an employment lawyer and got permission to refer employees to him. Bob lined up another job, and after he left, every employee in the company got an email with an Excel sheet showing the hours they had put in over the past 44 hours a week. The subject line said, "You're legally entitled to overtime pay." In the body of the email was the lawyer's name. The shit hit the fan. Almost every employee authorized the lawyer to negotiate with the company on their behalf, and the company had to pay a ton of money. All the company had to do was pay Bob for the extra work he put in. Instead, they had to pay almost everyone. If you're enjoying these stories, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps a lot. Thanks. And for our next story. My fiancé broke up with me over text because I got an oil change. My fiancé broke up with me over text because I got an oil change. He has blocked me on everything. Any advice? My 23 female, fiancé, 31 male, broke up with me over text because I got an oil change and has ghosted me. Me and my fiancé have been together for almost 8 years, living together for 5 of them. In the past year, we both took jobs out of town during the week to be more financially secure. He's supposed to come home every week, but instead stays at work for months on end. My truck was well overdue for an oil change, like 4,000 kilometers overdue. I know, bad. So I literally had to get an oil change that weekend so I could drive to work on Monday. His best friend is a mechanic and helps him work on stuff all the time. So I asked his friend if he could do it for me, and he did it no problem and didn't charge me. I dropped off my truck at his shop and walked over to my mom down the road to wait, then picked up my truck afterwards. A couple hours after I got home after the oil change, my fiancé called me to let me know he's on his way home. Surprise. He doesn't communicate with me at all for the weekend. I was thinking, oh, perfect. Now he won't have to do my oil change when he gets home from his 14-hour drive. I saved him some work so that I could spend more time with him. I thought I did a good thing. Oh boy, was I wrong? Well, I left for work on Monday evening and everything was great. We had a great weekend together. We went for breakfast that morning. He helped me build signs for our wedding and expressed how excited he was for it. We're supposed to get married on June 8th. Yesterday, everything went up in flames. He calls me at work, absolutely ragging and calling me every name in the book. I was saying, how dare you cheat on me with my best friend? I was completely lost, like what I never did or would never cheat on him. I literally just got my oil changed on my truck, and that's it. He continues to call me repeatedly to yell at me. Says we're over, and that there's no coming back from this. Blocked me on Facebook and Snapchat. He changed his relationship status to single and deleted every photo of me off Facebook like I never existed. He has unblocked me in the middle of the night multiple times to say, for you, then blocked me again. I explained to him that I never cheated, nor would I ever. I talked to his friend, and he said he just told him about the oil change and that he was fine when he left his place yesterday. I'm so lost and confused about what to do. I'm currently 5 hours away from home at my job. I don't know if I should leave now and deal with this or give him a couple days to cool off and realize his mistake. He said that he took all my stuff out of the house. I don't know how that's possible, as literally everything is mine but the TV and mattress, including the fridge, washer and dryer, heaters, etc., and put it in the front yard. I don't know if he actually did or is all talk. He has also threatened to hurt my 2 cats. He does have some mental health issues, so that may be contributing to all of this. Any advice would be appreciated. I can't believe I lost an 8-year relationship because I got an oil change. If I'd known, I would have just let it go for another week and gotten him to do it. Should I accept the end of her engagement? You try to work it out with her fiancé? Tell what you think in the comments section. Next story. Am I the jerk for not letting my wife hijack a free vacation? One of my 39 male hobbies is entering raffles, sweepstakes, radio contests, etc. I've won tickets to concerts, sporting events, some household items, and gift cards, but never a grand prize like a car or vacation. Until last month, when I won a free trip for 4 people to Florida for 5 nights. Obviously, I was super excited and told my wife, a 38 female, about it right away. After our initial excitement wore off and we started talking about details, it became apparent that we had conflicting ideas about this trip. Before I could even make suggestions about what I wanted this trip to be, my wife brought up how excited her 11-year-old daughter would be and how we could go to Disney, SeaWorld, etc. She then said that we could bring her mom with us to help watch her daughter so that we could have some time for ourselves. She was so excited about it and was getting wrapped up in planning things without even hearing what I wanted. I told her that all of that sounds like fun, but I was thinking that we could invite another couple, and have it be an adult-only trip instead of bringing my stepdaughter and mother-in-law with us. She did not like my idea one bit and told me that she wouldn't feel right taking a free trip like that and leaving her daughter behind. She also said that her mom has never been to Florida, and this would be a perfect opportunity for her to go there. We argued back and forth a little bit before deciding to take a break and come back to it before telling anyone about it. Well, that lasted about 24 hours before my wife let it slip to her daughter that I had won a trip. So, of course, my stepdaughter immediately got excited about it and started looking into all the things she wanted to do. I asked my wife why she told her daughter, and she said it was an accident, which, come on, it started a fight between us, and emotions got a little high. I told her she was wrong to bring her daughter into this after we agreed to wait, and that I never agreed to take my stepdaughter or mother-in-law on this trip. I told her that I was the one who won the trip, and she was acting like this was something specifically for her. She told me I was being selfish and that we should include those closest to us in something like this, especially when neither my stepdaughter nor mother-in-law have ever been to Florida. She said that bringing another couple and leaving her daughter home would be cruel, especially now that she's so excited about it. I told her that her daughter is only excited about it because she decided to blab to her about it instead of waiting like we had agreed. I told her if she wants to bring her daughter and mother-in-law, then she can also pick someone else to go with because I would rather stay home by myself than go on a vacation where I don't get to be involved in any decisions. I said that if she wants to go that route, she certainly can, but I'm not paying for any of it. We have separate finances. Now she thinks I'm being a jerk and should be happy about having a free family trip. Edit. The trip is to Fort Myers, not Orlando. So, is Opie being selfish or his wife is being entitled? Tell me in the comments. Next story. Am I the jerk for refusing to share my inheritance with my father's new children? My father is an only child. My grandmother and grandfather were kind of disappointed with how he chose to live his life after high school. He wasted a bunch of his time and their money pursuing courses of study he didn't have any real interest in. They made sure he graduated debt-free and then left him to his own devices. When he married my mom, they helped pay for the wedding and gave them the down payment for their home. My mom and dad then spent the next 20 years goofing off. When I was born, I was pretty much given to my grandparents to raise. My maternal grandparents helped as much as they could, but they are back in Argentina. So I was basically raised as my dad's little brother, not as his kid. My grandparents came to my parent-teacher meetings. They attended my sporting events. They were my parents. My biological mother passed away when I was 12. I found out weeks later, since my dad didn't bother telling anyone. When I was 25, my grandparents were taken within 2 months of each other. My grandfather went last, and in his will, he left my dad $50. He left the ASPCA $50,000. I got the rest. They had already paid for my education. I thanked them and was planning on paying them back once my career got going. Now I have a huge old house and a rather nice nest egg. I'm 35, and my fiancé and I are about to start our family. My dad calls me out of the blue and says he has remarried, which is news to me, and that his wife is expecting. I congratulate him, not knowing what else to do. He said that obviously my grandparents would want their grandchildren to share equally in their estate. He said I need to talk to the lawyers and see about setting up a trust fund for this new kid and any future kids. I said that I was not splitting my inheritance and that it was his job as a parent to provide for his children. He tried saying that his parents hadn't provided for him. I asked him about his debt from 7 years of university. I asked about the money for his wedding. I asked about his mortgage. I asked him if he could please provide me with information about how much he paid towards my education, how much he helped me when I bought my first home, what he gave me towards my wedding. For the record, he got us a sweet stand mixer. He said that he didn't have the kind of money his parents had. I asked him how much he earned at his job. He said that he worked to live, not to work. That was something he always said to my grandfather. It really hit home with me. He has spent his entire life in easy mode. I told him that if he is a competent father and his new kids finish high school, I will help them get an education. He said he needed money now. I asked why my unborn half-sibling needed money. It turns out my dad hasn't been paying his taxes. I offered to buy his house and rent it back to him. He said I was being an asshole like his dad and trying to control him with money. My wife is with me, but she thinks I was harsh. and his kid deserves a leg up. So, am I the jerk? What is the right thing to do here? Next story. Am I the jerk for adopting the child my sister wanted to adopt? I, 34 male, have two sisters, Amy, 36 female, and Jane, 31 female. Amy and her husband have been trying to conceive for the better part of a decade, but nothing seems to be working for them. 2 years ago, they went for another round of IVF, but sadly, Amy miscarried once again. Due to the complications following this miscarriage, she became sterile. This, of course, devastated her and her husband because they really wanted to start a family of their own. They are now looking into adoption, but it's a long and slow process since Amy's husband has a criminal record from when he was 19. A year ago, my sister Jane gave birth to her son Sam. The pregnancy was the result of a one-night stand Jane had during her vacation in Italy, and although it was unexpected and the father wouldn't be in the picture, Jane decided to keep the baby. Sadly, Jane had a stroke when Sam was 6 months old and passed away. It was very unexpected, and most of the family is still grieving. After the funeral, we started to discuss who would take Sam in. My parents were out of the question since they are too old and won't be able to take care of him. So it was between Amy and me. Amy jumped at the opportunity and volunteered to take Sam in, and although this seemed to be the ideal solution at first, the way Amy spoke about the adoption didn't sit right with me. She wanted to change Sam's name and surname and asked us not to mention Jane around Sam after the adoption was finalized. Essentially, Amy wanted to raise Sam as her own and didn't think telling him his biological mom had passed away would do him any good. To me, this felt like Amy was trying to erase Jane's memory and was treating her like some surrogate and not a sister whom she lost. After much consideration, I didn't like the idea that Sam would grow up without knowing who his biological mother was. And although I already have 5 children of my own, I decided to contest the adoption and volunteered to adopt him instead. We went to court, and it was recently determined that my wife and I would be adopting Sam. Amy is furious at me and is calling me an asshole for ruining her chances at becoming a mother. She is saying that I already have many children of my own, so I don't understand how badly she wants to become a parent. Some relatives are now calling me selfish for taking this chance away from Amy and are telling me that instead of thinking about what would be better for Sam, I was thinking about how to preserve the memory of Jane. Although I don't regret adopting Sam, I'm starting to doubt whether I made the right decision for his future. I know that Amy would have made a great mother and that both she and her husband would absolutely adore Sam. And as their only child, they would probably be able to provide him with a better life financially. However, wanting to erase all memories of Jane just doesn't feel right. I'm dyslexic and writing this from my phone, so I apologize for any grammar mistakes I might have made. And for our last story of today, I, 38 male, stumbled upon my wife, 47 female, texting with an ex-boyfriend. My wife and I have been married for 12 years and have 2 kids together, 10 and 8. We have a seemingly good marriage. We are together most of the time. She recently started working at our kids' school. She takes very good care of our home and our kids. Aside from what I describe below, everything is okay in my book. We coach their sports teams together, etc. We are both very involved with each other's lives and are still very attracted to each other, and we have sex 3 to 4 times a week. I am looking to see if I am being paranoid, or if I did in fact stumble upon an emotional affair or worse. It weighs heavily on me, and I cannot go on carrying this burden of uncertainty. My mental health has paid the price. 8 years ago, when we were in the hospital having our son, my wife was waiting to go into labor. I saw a text pop up on her phone from someone I knew to be an ex. It said, "Are you working?" I knew it meant your husband was around. I confronted her about it, and she said, "He is always doing that." I told him he can just text me, and you aren't jealous like that. I felt I was being lied to, but under the circumstances, I let it get swept under the rug. I also know he lives about 2.5 hours away, so I convinced myself that there wasn't anything physical going on. Truthfully, I wanted to believe her. We were about to have another child. She did assure me nothing was going on, and I let her know how uncomfortable I was with it. The second time, a couple years later, we were on vacation, and she asked to be dropped off at the house where we were staying to use the bathroom. When she came back, she put her phone on the console, and a message popped up from him again, responding to a joke or something I can't remember. but it appeared she had been carrying on a conversation without my knowledge. I got upset, and it ruined our vacation. When we got home, I looked through the text logs to see that she had in fact been texting with him. I confronted her, and she assured me nothing was going on but deleted the messages before I could see them. To this day, my gut says that she only admitted what she couldn't deny. She came clean and admitted she texted with him, but it's nothing I need to worry about. The third time, about 5 years ago, I cannot remember the details, but I saw that his number popped up on the text logs and again confronted her. She completely lost her mind and started screaming and insulting me, and we were so close to divorcing in anger that she even called her mom to try and make me look like the untrusting, paranoid spouse. I wanted to avoid that, and I again dropped it to my own detriment. She can be intense and mean. I feel like, as a result, I was completely emasculated and embarrassed to tell anyone or ask for help. By the end of it, I was the bad guy. Later on, after we were on the brink of divorce and had made up, she would go on to say that it wasn't anything like I was thinking, but she and this ex kept in contact because his brother had committed suicide while they were together and it was just a bond they had. But he texted her a couple more times and claimed she valued our marriage and the life we had built too much to maintain what she claimed was only a friendship. She said they would always have that bond essentially, and that it was just a matter of fact. I guess I am expected to deal with. Another piece is that in between the last time I caught it and now, she told me that she has cheated on everyone she has been with except for me, professed her love to me, stressed how important our marriage is, and that she sees her past wrongs before we were together and would never consider doing that to me. Honestly, I am not sure I would have married her had I known this, and I wasn't sure how to take it. We had been talking about a friend we have in common and their ugly divorce, and she just came out with it. But it left me thinking, she knows how to get away with it. Fast forward to today, and I am tormented periodically by all this. Was I lied to? Almost definitely, I think. And what are the implications of that? Was it just emotional? Was it physical? Am I being paranoid? I can only speculate because I never saw the texts. I have been monitoring the text logs, and his number hasn't popped up for a long time. But I know there are other means of communication they could have moved to as their cover got blown. What do? We are going away for the weekend and we'll have a quiet dinner together, and I want to get this resentment off my chest. I want to ask her to just level with me and have an honest conversation with me about what the whole thing was. I don't know if she will, but I hope. If she still insists it was nothing, how should I take it? Is this a good idea? I am so lost here. Should I be planning for divorce? I refuse to be married under false pretenses, but I don't have solid evidence. It's just my gut feeling, and I never really saw her reciprocate and engage with the ex. I don't like being suspicious of her like that. I just need some guidance. Thanks for your help. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching until the end. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to stay updated on future content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when I release new videos, and you'll be helping to support my channel. So, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and let's keep this journey going together. Thanks again for your support.